Liz Cheney's lost her mind. She's unhinged.
Liz Cheney continues to align herself with the very same Democrats that called her father a war criminal, a murderer, a crook, and worse.
The Wyoming Republican Party voted 31-29 earlier this week to no longer recognize Cheney as a member.
Congresswoman Liz Cheney of suburban Virginia.
We all saw Liz Cheney's true colors.
Mark your calendars, as President Trump has announced his endorsement of her primary challenger.
Code of the West is about fighting.
Big news out of Wyoming today. Former President Trump endorsed Harriet Hageman.
Joining us now, the candidate who has President Trump's complete and total endorsement,
Harriet
Hageman.
Liz Cheney has betrayed Wyoming, and the people of Wyoming believe that.
I'm a fighter. I've taken on the EPA. I've taken on the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I've taken on the USDA.
The only thing that the Republicans should be doing in Washington, D.C. is trying to stop the Democrats from destroying our country. And we need all hands on deck.
It's the race we're all watching as Harriet Hageman prepares to trump Liz Cheney August 16th in Wyoming's primary. And the victory is set to be a magnificent one. As according to a straw poll conducted by the Wyoming Republican State Central Committee, a secret ballot of party activists, Hageman came out on top at 59 votes, while Cheney placed second at 6. Yes, 6. In other words, Cheney is losing a big league, almost 10 times over. Joining us now with more on this, the candidate poised to be the next congresswoman from the great state of Wyoming, who has President Trump's complete and total endorsement, Harriet Hageman. Harriet, you have the momentum behind you. Is there anyone in the state of Wyoming who likes Liz Cheney now? She's actually having to bring in the likes of Mitt Romney because apparently that's supposed to really help her.
Well, it's an odd choice on her part in light of the fact that what Mitt Romney has done with President Trump, as well as the kind of the middle of the road person that he is. So I was, I guess, not surprised that that's who she would choose as an ally. But from the standpoint of Wyoming, that's not somebody that we necessarily look up to or that we feel is representing us the way that he should be. So, you know, it's an odd choice, but at the same time, Liz Cheney, I think, is really kind of scrambling right now and floundering for what to do because the people of Wyoming are very angry with what she's doing on behalf of Nancy Pelosi and the radical Democrats, and they're ready for new representation. They want to see her out of there.
Really, when you see the way that the establishment is coming behind her, of course, you had Bush and Karl Rove doing a fundraiser last year. Look at how well that helped out. Your poll numbers are off the charts. We all know how big President Trump won that state. Liz Cheney just rode on his coattails. This is a Trump state. This is Trump country. How does Liz Cheney even think she holds any ground there, considering all she's doing is Crazy Nancy's bidding?
Well, it's rather odd, but I think it partly has to do with the fact that Liz Cheney's not from Wyoming. Liz Cheney is from Northern Virginia. She's lived in McLean, Virginia for many, many years. She's never lived in Wyoming, and she doesn't understand Wyoming's values, and she doesn't understand who and what we are. The fact is that Wyoming is America First country. And we believe in the America First agenda. We believe in closed borders. Energy independence, affordable housing, affordable food, affordable energy. All of the things that Joe Biden has wrecked in the last year are things that are important for the state of Wyoming. And that's the other thing that Liz Cheney just simply does not seem to understand, is that by aligning herself with someone like Nancy Pelosi, the radical Democrats, and continuing with this January 6th witch hunt, she's losing everybody in Wyoming. But she's losing Wyoming because she never understood Wyoming in the first place.
When you're talking to voters, how much are they even talking about the damage Biden has done to the country versus Liz Cheney? Because it seems like Liz Cheney really is going to be the reason people get out and vote this August in the primary.
Well, you know, I think it's some of both, but that's why it's so wrong for her to align herself with President Biden. The open border, the disaster on the border, the drugs that are coming into this country, the human trafficking, the inflation. The fact that we're begging OPEC to produce energy and we're killing jobs in the United States and in Wyoming, all of those things reflect very poorly on Joe Biden. But because she has picked sides, They also reflect very poorly on Liz Cheney. The fact is, what we've talked about repeatedly in the state of Wyoming is how embarrassed we are that she is using her seat as the lone Wyoming congressional representative to basically do the exact opposite of what the people in Wyoming want. We did not send her to Washington, D.C. to be the judge and jury about President Trump or what happened on January 6th. In addition to which, the commission itself, the committee itself, is entirely illegitimate because of the way that it was put together. In addition to which, it's attempting to act like a judiciary. This is not the role of the legislative branch. And what you're seeing is what I think is it could be described as a real abuse of power of the January 6th committee to punish those folks' political enemies. And that's not just President Trump, it's all of the people who believe in the America First agenda and Wyoming values.
We've never quite seen a witch hunt like this before. President Trump has had to put up with so many. But to see this happen and to see the two so-called Republicans on the committee, they're not Republicans. Nancy Pelosi chose them, and yet they continue to have R's after their name when they go and hit the media circuits. It's doing so much damage to the country, and really, it's sad to think that Wyoming has one representative who's fueled not by love of the state, but really her hate for President Trump and anybody who supports him.
Well, and you make such a good point, Natalie, because that's really the only thing she's doing right now. And as the lone congressional representative, her job is to represent the citizens of the state of Wyoming. And what she's doing is pursuing her own agenda. She's pursuing her own agenda of this witch hunt against President Trump. As you say, this is very unusual. This is an unusual approach for the United States, but it's a very dangerous approach because it's allowing the legislative branch to go down the road of, just like they're doing, of punishing political enemies. And that is not the job of Congress. That just isn't their role. And Liz Cheney is doing this at the expense of all of the other things that she could be doing positively for the state of Wyoming. We need to be doing much more in terms of messaging about the importance of our fossil fuels, the importance of keeping energy costs down, the importance of keeping costs of food down. It is really a tragedy that she's being used by the radical Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, to further an agenda that does not further the agenda or the interests of either the state of Wyoming or Americans in general. This is just simply an effort to attack and punish political enemies, and that is not what America is about. And I'm extremely disappointed in her. The word I hear often is that people are embarrassed that she allegedly represents the state of Wyoming.
She shouldn't even be called representative at this point because she doesn't represent anybody except the really radical left and even the rhinos. Real quick, do you think her strategy going into the summer is going to just be all these donor dinners, try to raise as much money as she can and not talk to the people? Because if she talked to the people, they would definitely give her a piece of their minds.
Well, that's why she doesn't come back to Wyoming. Yeah. So from what we've been able to tell and put together is that she has been back to Wyoming very few times in the last year. But we know that Congress actually takes as much time off or away from Washington, D.C. as they are in session. She's had plenty of opportunities to come to Wyoming, but because she has so few ties and so few, such little interest in what is actually happening in Wyoming, she goes home to McLean, Virginia. And Wyoming is only secondary and only necessary for purpose of giving her the seat so that she has the platform to do what she's doing.
The people of Wyoming are really going to send her a big message. They already are when you think of everything that's happened in terms of censoring her and censuring her and even these votes that are coming out, the secret ballots. People are showing her where they stand. They stand with you, Harriet. We're so excited about your race. When we look at the midterms, yours has got to be the #1 race in terms of people that we want to fire. We have to fire Liz Cheney. So keep up the good work out there and congratulations on the latest polling.
Thank you, Natalie. I so appreciate the opportunity to visit with you.
Always great to see you.